First things first, Chris Hagen, nice of you to be here with us. I know that in this age of social distancing, this must be pretty unique for you and everyone over there at Harman, but I understand you've been pretty busy working to keep everything going. Is that correct?
Yes, we actually have, as usual, multiple products in the pipeline, and we want to keep those going. When we get through this, we know that people still are going to want to have good music and good sound to enjoy their life with again, and put this episode behind us.
I think so. I agree with you 100%. Chris, let's begin. The L100 has been a tremendous success, and you know that from my appreciation of it and our viral video that we did a couple of years back at the launch of the product. But with that in mind, the new L82, can we call that a smaller L100?
Uh, you kind of can, sort of half can, half can't. The can't side is obviously it's an 8-inch two-way. It's not a 12-inch three-way, and so it is a different creature. But it does look very similar, and it's smaller. And the nice thing is the performance is right in there where it needs to be to be a little brother to the L100, and for some people to be a more viable alternate.
Now, the L100 was originally based on the wildly popular L100s of the late 1970s, one that I recall my father getting, and I was just getting all goosebumpy about it. Is the L82 based on a prior model as well?
No, so the L100 is more based specifically, the L100 Classic is based more specifically on the L100 Century, as you mentioned. The L82 is, because there wasn't an 8-inch L100 before, it's more based on the general 8-inch two-way that we've had in the past. And obviously we had things like the L19, and I think there was an L42 and L48, things like that. None of them were as big a hit as an L100 Century. And so really and of course there was the L40T3 that I did, the L40T that was before it. But there wasn't really anything that was standout, high performance, high visibility, high popularity like the L100 class or Century was for the L100 Classic. And so the L82 is more like, let's try and do something similar in an 8-inch format. There was a big comment about, well, is JBL trolling us? The L100 Classic is not bookshelf size. And what I had to say to people is, yeah, in the modern day and age, a bookshelf, all it has to hold is an iPad. So it really wasn't, although we called it bookshelf because the original L100 Century was a bookshelf speaker. It was called a bookshelf because bookshelves were bigger and more robust back then. And since the L100 Classic is very close to that size, we called it a bookshelf to be in keeping with kind of traditional standards of the industry. But the world has changed, and so we really wanted to do something that could more honestly be called a bookshelf today, and that's the L82.
Now, I noticed when I saw the L82s for the first time, they're mirror imaged, whereas the L100 isn't. Why do this one way and not the other?
Well, with the L100, we have had speakers of that size and weight before that we've made pair packs, and they get quite large and heavy. And when you don't do a pair pack, then you get some mismatch in quantities at the dealer. We were mindful of that, but really looked at it carefully. And when I was doing my crossover work, I found out that the offset of the mid-range and tweeter in the L100 was only 2 inches, which was about 1/15 of the wavelength at crossover, which is the point where that offset matters. And because it was so small a part of the wavelength, you couldn't tell that it was offset. And thus we had scientific engineering background that told us we could have a single cabinet for the L100. Seeing how much easier it would make it for everybody, all the way down to the end user. We just made the choice to do that. With and the crossover frequency from the woofer to the mid-range that allows that was 450 hertz. With the L82, the crossover frequency is actually 1.7 kilohertz. It's much higher than that. It's actually low for an 8-inch two-way, but it's much higher than the crossover from the woofer to the mid in the L100, which means it's much more critical, the offset. It also is a little bit more of an offset than the L100. So basically the science didn't say we could do that, and measurements proved it as well. So we ended up pair packing that one. It's not so heavy, it's not so big, and so we really could do that one. So that was the reason.
So that's pretty cool. This one's going to be probably a little bit more of a sort of personalized question, but then again, what isn't when it comes to audio for some people these days? And that is, what sonic signature can we expect from the L82 because of the change in the woofer and other cabinet changes throughout?
A surprising one, actually. It goes very deep for its size. I'd say lots of people who look at the L100 Classic would love to own it, but they say, it's just too big, are going to fall in love with the L82. The L82 goes very deep. It sits on its stand and plays nicely, images really, really well. It has all of the hallmarks of the L100 Classic, and so it really fits into that line.
Terrific. Anything you just mentioned you've been working on some stuff in the pipeline without giving away the show. Do you have anything that you might be able to sort of tease our AXPONA audience with in terms of possible products coming out of the pipeline in the future?
Well, obviously, being an engineer at the company and not able to really talk our official marketing policy, I can't tell you what we're working on. I can say, obviously, our 75th anniversary is coming up, so we'll be doing something special for that. And maybe some things, but we're still working on it. And of course, right now, things are a little harder to work on, but we're still working.
So no spoiler alert.
No spoilers. I can't do that. I have to leave that up to our senior director of marketing, Jim Garrett.
Jim's a good man, a very good man. Chris Hagen, as always, I appreciate you taking time from your busy day. I do love the JBL behind you. That's obviously a nice little trim. I'm grateful for your time. I know that out there it must be just as crazy as it is here in Chicago. So I do hope you stay safe. Yeah. And that you do your great work in a safe environment.
Same to you, Bess. You stay safe and take care, and I hope all your customers do the same as well.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate the time.
You're welcome.